Thank you very. Oh, that works. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. Thank you very much for the applause. And apparently, I need to say I didn't brought anything. That's the downside when you are a consultant. The only thing you can bring that is slides and a suit that I brought, but that's all I had. But I have brought and bringing in something very important. This is I'm happy that Sumit is joining me on stage. Because the topic we would like to share with you for today is around, and is perfectly picking on the topic prior, is what can you do with the technology? Focus on AI. So what can it bring to us in terms of value? And what does it bring and mean for the GBS organization of the future? So will there be in the future still a full room of GBS people? Or will it just be an empty room and we do all something else? So the question is answered quite quickly because I wouldn't have brought Sumit if the answer would be there is no GBS anymore in the future, because he will share with us later on how he's applying GBS at TESCO. So stick with me for 10 minutes. This is the time I need in order to share with you some thoughts of AI, and then we move over and put the theory into practice. And this is where we'll engage Sumit on the stage. So when starting, so that worked. So when starting that, thinking about AI, I made a little bit of research over the last weeks, and I looked up a couple of numbers and reports. So I figured out already 70% of the majority of the organization do already use or apply use cases in AI. That is great, because it's the talk of the town. Everyone nowadays wants to talk about AI. Everyone is talking about AI, even though I think the majority don't understand what AI is at the end, but everyone's talking. However, if we do look for the second number, which I have put up, which is taken out of the SSON report from this year, then we see only 10% of you guys are doing the same as the general organizations. So why is that the case? So why are 70% of the organizations marking, yeah, we do AI, but only 10% of the GBS organizations say, yeah, we do so too, and we are part of that? Is it the fear that GBS has in itself to say, like, we made ourselves redundant because we can automate activities, and we rather stick to the people who are doing it and running the processes rather than investing heavily into new technologies, exploring and doing that? Question mark. Let's try to figure out a little bit. When we think about the impact of AI, we can generally summarize it in three key activities AI can bring to the table. So it's the first, it can make your processes touchless, because based on historic data, it just can take actions and decisions. That might be some of you have already put into place when it comes to invoice processing. The second one is, it can predict based on data, based on patterns within the data. It can predict, and therefore it allows you to take better decisions. Good. And the third one, and that is the category which is maybe the most prominent one, because that's the one most of us are using also in daily life. You can talk to your data, you can interact with it, and that is a facility which never has been there, right? So we all know that from ChatGPT, etc., and you can apply that for multiple cases along the organization. So that is how it can bring an impact. Now the question is, where does it bring an impact in an organization? Also, that one is quickly answered. You can apply those topics, those cases, those technology everywhere across the organization. However, looking into it a little bit more deeper, where do we see the majority of the use cases? Then it's not in the support functions. The majority of the use cases has already been deployed years ago in the business. So the business is really ahead of us when it comes to operations. Everything else is a little bit leaving behind. Finance and other support functions heavily picking up on that. So therefore, summarizing, yes, it's applicable everywhere. That also means everyone is doing it in an organization nowadays. That might be also why everyone wants to talk about. Now, summarizing what we just learned from the two slides. Everyone in an organization is doing it irrespectively of the division and the function. I can make my processes touchless, my repetitive task, I can, let's say, make redundant. I get real good decisions based on predictions, what this system can provide me, and it allows me that my internal and external customer can interact with the data and doesn't need to call up anyone anymore. So if I don't need all of this anymore, which might be of the core of GBS in the past 20 years, so what is the role of GBS then? Do I still need that? Do I still need GBS? And for what do I need GBS? And the answer is also here quite clear and quite simple from my side. I think the need for GBS is more important than ever before. So why? Because if everyone is doing it, you need someone who has the hand on and takes control and ownership. So that's why you need someone who is centrally located in an organization in order to orchestrate all what is happening. Because at the moment, capabilities, etc., are rising and get built up in that organization everywhere. However, thinking about the strength of a GBS organization, then GBS has already everything at hand what you need in order to be that one. So leverage capabilities, a good process understanding. This is what GBS has. That is what you need when you would like to automate a process, when you would like to introduce technology. You know that. You need to understand the process. GBS has that. You are the only one who is located centrally in an organization. You are providing already services across the functions, across the divisions. So you are at the heart of the organization. You know everyone, so you can orchestrate. And third, bringing all of that together, you might be perfectly in best positions in order to build and run it at the end. So the future of GBS is there. The future might look different than in the past, but that is normal evolution, also what we have learned. So coming from paper to chip industry, also GBS will evolve over here. So now at least everyone can relax and knows, good, we do have a role. Okay, we might be still a central key player. So what does it take in order to execute on that AI journey? Also, just a simple answer here. You only need two things in order to do that. The right people, data, and technology. It's just as simple as that, right? So, but what do you need then? When it comes to people, I think, first of all, domain expertise. That is something, as I said, GBS has by nature. So you need a proper understanding of what you're talking about. The second one, that's a little bit more complicated because you need to have people who understand how I can interact and work with data. And this is where it becomes different, because this is a little bit different than a guy who's processing an invoice, who then now needs to orchestrate an AI solution. So this is where you need to invest. Either you scale up the people, you develop them, or let's say you need to figure out where do I get better skills in the future. The second one, also most important here, is data and technology. So first, think about, and I think most of you might already have done that or gone on that route, set up an IT architecture which allows you to integrate quickly tools, products, etc., into your organization, into your business, into your operations. Second one, make sure it's scalable. Don't come up with something which is not scalable at the end. Second, become the owner and the manager of the data model. Data is key, and we've heard that years ago. Data is the new gold. But also when we figure out about how AI can help us, you also figure out that if you don't manage properly your data and your data models, the results AI might show to you might not be the one you would like to expect, or might not be the right one. So make sure you have that under control, and make sure you have that in a good quality and shape. So that's some of the key activities you might want to focus in the future. While doing that one, then I'm pretty sure AI has the ability to boost you along the GBS maturity curve. Whether you have been or whether you are a shared service center with only a regional scope, whether you embarked on that journey further already, becoming a multifunctional shared service, or whether you have already established a good GBS organization which is serving across multiple functions, multiple divisions across the globe, and are a true GBS, then AI can boost you and elevate you to the next level and help you to change that through making all the processes you're executing touchless on the repetitive task, maybe through improving your COEs on the reporting and business intelligence by applying predictive analytics, maybe by introducing a chatbot technology for your travel and expense that allows your people to interact with the travel policy. So the use cases and the number of applications are unlimited. However, there's a last important point I would like to raise, and I would like to quote also a company. At the end, it's all about just do it. You need to start do it. Because then connecting to the opening and what we had on the slide, if you don't embark on that journey, then you might risk to fade away at the end. So now let's focus on talking to someone who's part of the 10% club at the end. Talking with someone who's applying that one, and I think another warm welcome to Sumit on stage, I think, and then for sharing with us your experience. Sumit, you have been #1 in GBS for multiple years in a row.
1 year.
Okay. I over-exaggerated. Hey, no one would have known. No one would have challenged that. Okay? You might become that for multiple years in a row in the future. But you are applying already, I think, AI. Can you share with us a little bit on what AI, what does it mean for you? What are use cases you're utilizing?
Thank you. What a pleasure to be here again. Look, you probably heard me last year, those of you who were here, I talked about data being the new oil, and you hear about ChatGPT, you hear about generative AI. What I don't want to do is confuse the hell out of you and just make it a quick summary of what AI means to me. There are 4 aspects of it. One is obviously machine learning, which a lot of people have been using for many, many years. This is about bringing your formula science to do things easier and faster. Then is AI, it's about how do you structure unstructured data. Then it's deep learning, which actually mimics human neural networks and build deep knowledge. And then the generative AI, which is all about creating new data. Now, what I thought would be good to talk to you a little bit about, it's very easy to say, let's forget all the technology. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, those of you who've been here, blockchain was the biggest thing on the planet. And apparently everybody was doing blockchain. Everybody's running a rat race to do trial on blockchain. I don't know what's that delivered in GBS. But I'm telling you that AI, it's going to be a game changer. It's the next internet. It's going to really change what the future of GBS will look like. And I'll give you 2 examples, one internally and one externally. As you know, TESCO GBS is all about value creation. It's no longer about efficiency. Efficiency is given. So I'm going to give you a quick example of efficiency that we are delivering through AI. So how many of you heard about TESCO? Do you know what TESCO does? Can you put your hand up? So I guess, yeah. We are a food retailer. That's great. Food retailer, okay? So there are about 290,000 product returns that we get every year from our stores and online, where people don't like the product, they want to exchange it. I used to have 25 colleagues sitting in Bangalore who would collect the forms that would fill in by our store colleagues who should be actually spending time with their customers. Send it to us in a PDF format. We would sit there and then identify where the problem is, which supplier should it go into. 3-4 years ago, we thought it was really clever if we put in some RPA capability, a bot that would really automate some of our inward coming processes. We can do anything that is mundane, task-based, rule-based, we can convert that. So we put in a bot. We delivered 3 headcount efficiency. We were like so proud of ourselves. Instead of 25, we now have 22 people doing this piece of work. What we've done now is looked at we call it hyper-automation, looked at the whole end-to-end process in terms of how do we bring AI to look at the whole end-to-end journey of this supplier process and structure the unstructured data through vector modeling. And by doing that, what we were able to do is remove the entire workforce. Now we have one person who is actually talking to a supplier rather than looking at the data. So the AI model is able to structure by picking words like smell, taste, product, name, and then categorizing them. So that's one example. The second example, which is substantial for the business, and I'm doing a session tomorrow and day after to talk about some of this, is how do we use the power of AI to drive value into the business? So about 2 years ago, UK went through a big cost of living crisis. And the inflation was really, really high. And a lot of our suppliers came to us knocking at our door saying, we want to increase the cost base. which meant that because the prices have gone up, and the impact on our P&L would have been 1.8 billion pounds, 1.8 billion on a 2.6 billion profit business. So therefore, what we did was, this is solely generated from the TBS organization. We worked with the buyers and put together an AI tool with some deep learning, which looked at individual product cost and broke those product costs down into individual items. For example, bread. What is bread made of? It's made of flour, it's made of yeast, it's made of water, electricity, labor cost. And then what we did was scrape the web to look at individual product costs for individual items. And we were able to go back to the supplier to say, hey, actually, 50, 60% of your product cost is actually deflating. So therefore, you should reduce your cost, not increase your cost. And we were able to bank 3-digit million pound savings through this AI model that we built across 4,500 products, which is now scaled across our wholesale business, our European business, our main business. So the power of AI is about looking at use cases, looking at it's about driving solutions. TBS Business Solutions or business services is no longer about running efficiency because it's finite. How do you create value by using the power of AI and looking at use cases?
I think that's really inspiring also. I think engaging you guys think about how you can deploy that. When deploying AI, how do you ensure that AI is doing what you want it to do? I mean, how do you get control of it at the end when it started, right? When you kicked it off?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things we were very clear is, if you understand retail, we are a very price-sensitive business. We are a 4% margin business. So how quickly we change pricing and promotion, how quickly we bring our products is very, very important to us. And therefore, it's our IP. So what meant that we were unable to work with, what we didn't want to do is create our IP outside our business. So basically, what AI is you're creating a brain that works on the data and processing the data and becomes clever. So what you don't want to do is feed a brain with our data that makes it very careful and clever, and it can be sold to other companies. You don't want to do that. So what we did, we invested 3-4 years ago on a data science and AI unit. We call it Applied Research and Enterprise Analytics. We invested to ensure we build this in-house, number one. Number two, what we also did was some of the savings that it generated, we invested back in governance and control. Because if AI runs ragged and you have released all your people, you will have a really horrible business. So you need to make sure that the guardrails, the governance and control is in place to make sure the AI does what it says on the tin. So those are some of the key principles we looked at.
Talking about now, and you mentioned that already, and we have heard that also in the previous speech, at the end, you still have people, right, working with it, working along the process. So talking a little bit about your people and the people interacting with the tools. How did you manage with them that they embark on the journey with the same enthusiasm, I think, as you did? Because when I also remember back in the days when RPA came up, then there was this huge, our people are afraid, bots will take over our jobs, I don't want to work with it, etc. Right? So how did you overcome this straight away on the AI journey?
Look, it's leadership, and in terms of how you message the story and narrative to the business is really important. So I'll give you an example. In the last 6 years, we haven't made a single redundancy. The way we have done this is, if I add all the work that we have taken on in terms of from a TESCO and our subsidiary business into TBS, we would have had 9,500 people. Today, we run it at 4,000. What we do is drive efficiency, create capacity, take on work. Don't backfill on attrition, and you do disruptive hiring to improve the skills of your colleague as you move up the value chain. That's number one. I made a statement 6 years ago on stage in front of 4,000 colleagues that we will not make a single redundancy. And you'll be rewarded for make yourself redundant. So if you can come up with, that creates the bottom-up continuous improvement culture. If you can come up and say, tell you what, you can actually automate my process, I don't need to do it, I will train you to take on a better role within the business. And we will invest in you. So that gives people the layer of confidence that you need. Second, it's not just about people, it's about process. It's about volume of work. So if you think about what drives GBS is the volume of work that comes in. So if you keep doing the same work and churning away, it doesn't work. So you need to think about what's good work, what's bad work. Bad work is repetitive task, customer complaints. What's good work is anything that drives revenue, cash, and margin. So how do you eliminate bad work? How do you get your process in such a way that you're able to eliminate bad work? And secondly, enhance good work. So that's your process side. Now, let me give you a concrete example. So I talked to you about the intelligence, the cost intelligence model that we have built across 20,000 products, which is driving 3-digit million benefit for us. Now, data, when you look at data and build the science, that's one part of the job. Your data scientists are looking into it, they build these AI models, which is then helping the business and identifying, saying these are the savings possibly you could generate. But for that to need to come into action, the buyers then need to have a conversation with the suppliers to say, hey, you need to reduce your cost. That's the big part of the business. And suppliers would come back to you. They're not going to write a check for you. So what they're going to say is, can we put this all into a back margin? Back margin means that instead of operating cost reduction, can we put this discount and cost savings through the volume that you sell? So our operations team then started looking at and monitoring what's back margin and what's front margin, and then categorizing buyers and pushing the buyers to make sure we bring in as a cost of goods sale reduction rather than a back margin. And then our FP&A team in finance is looking at where is this saving going to in the P&L. That's where you need people. Machines can't do that. So therefore, understanding the finance, locking the benefit, and driving those conversations with your suppliers, you need humans. And that's where people, process, technology, and humans come together to deliver a world-class GBS.
There was an attempt for applause, I think, which would also have been worth. But wait for that. Given that we're also approaching a little bit the end of the discussion, let me ask one question, and I ask that question for you, and then if we still have some time, also open up the floor, is when you now, based on what you've learned, and you would go back and you would be on that position when you started to embark on that AI journey and decide, okay, let's do that, let's try that. What would be, from your perspective, the do's and don'ts? Something you can give for the folks and say, like, in order to encourage them to start investing, doing, utilizing AI, what would it be?
Look, I start with the philosophy which says the world is for the learner. The learned sit beautifully equipped with a world that no longer exists. So therefore, it's really important to get your thinking hat on and learn, and don't disregard the technology that you've already used. I see sometimes big sign-ups saying RPA is dead. You know, it's not dead. There are reasons why you need RPA, and there are reasons why you need AI. You may deploy RPA to start off with, get rid of it, and then bring hyper-automation. You can do that, but take a step-by-step approach in terms of how you drive benefit back into your business. Second one, I would say, is all about value. And value is nothing else other than incremental revenue improvement, incremental value in margin improvement, and incremental cash. Nothing else exists. That creates shareholder value. If you're not doing that, you then need to ask yourself, are you running the right GBS?
So I like that. So before we close, first thank you. We still have some minutes on the clock, and that was requested to serve for Q&A. So if there are some questions in the audience you would like to ask, then I might stress out now the organizational team, but I think the acoustic is good. So if there is someone, just shout it out. If not, don't stay silent. Try to grab one of us somewhere outside or later at the bar or whenever. Ah, there is one.
Aye, brilliant. Great question. So the question was, did everybody hear the question?
Good.
Let me repeat the question. The question was, when new technology come into play, how do you convince your board to get the investment on technology? So look, I think of this as known, 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 unknown, unknown, known, and unknown, unknown. I love playing in the unknown, unknown space. Now, what you need to think about here is there is no first prize for bringing the shiniest technology into the business. It's not a rat race. You need to do what's right for your business. What delivers the return on investment? So we have a small unit called Applied Research. And this applied, it's a 4-member team, very small. So the 4-member team will scan the market, look at startups, look at different technology companies to see what's available in the market. And in the meantime, through continuous improvement culture, we're looking at business problems. Some problems are known that we can solve. Some are unknown. And when you deal with those, you look at what ecosystem can you match to solve for those problems. And then what you do is you test and learn. You take in seed-con funding, 50K, 40K, nothing much, just to test and learn. And if you fail fast. It's okay. There's no egos. But if it works, then you put together a business case to say, this can drive a bigger benefit and bigger opportunity. So you take a step-by-step approach. And the final thing I would say is, because you're running GBS, you don't have a God-given right to get the money. So you have to earn the right to go back to the board and say, we will deliver this. And it comes from track record of delivery and execution, flawlessly. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I think also very good question and reflection from my side on this is the similar, and that's a reminder for everyone. And this is why I think also the number is only 10% of GBS organization would only started and embarked on that AI implementation journey. Why? Because either funding was missing, or you were looking so hard for that big use case. Don't do that. Start small. As Sumit was saying, start small. Look for things out which only cost you maybe an investment of 20, 30, 40K. That's it. But by using that, first you learn, and second, by learning and having results out of that one, you also can more easily convince the board in order to get you the next 50, 100 to more K at the end. So start with small things. Do we have another question in the round?
Looks like we've done well.
We've really done well and managed on time. So thank you very much. Thanks to you for sharing with us. Thank you, Sumit.
Thank you.
Thank you.